Hi everyone, Deb here. I'm back to talk about Jeremiah in the end times again. And when we left off a couple days ago, it's been a couple days since I've been able to finish this up. I've had a problem with the abscessed tooth, and I wasn't feeling well. So I'm feeling a little bit better today, and we're going to move forward. Now, where we left off was I was talking about how I had a dream about, I had more than one dream about me leading like a handful of people across what I would call disappearing bridges. So one was like an ice bridge, and after we crossed it, it was gone. And another one was it's like a leather bridge, and after we crossed it, it disintegrated. And but I was leading people, and these passages were kind of secret passages, so other people didn't know about them. And today we're starting in Jeremiah 30:23. And just in case you are not yet convinced that Jeremiah is about the end times, hopefully this particular verse that's next will clear it up for you. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh goes forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he has done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart in the latter days. In the latter days, he shall consider it. So there's it is, right there, in the latter days. This is full of end times prophecy. Jeremiah 31:3, Yahweh hath appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn thee. For there shall be a day that the watchmen upon Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise, let us go up to Zion, unto Yahuwah our Elohim. I look forward to that day. I look forward to that day where I can say that. But I'm sort of telling you this right now. I'm sort of already telling you, be prepared so that we can go to Zion. Verse 7, For thus saith Yahuwah, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Yahweh, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Looks like we're supposed to publish it and say it. I think that's what I'm doing. All right. In verse 8, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return there. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of water in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahuwah, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For Yahuwah hath redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. And I think that sounds like a really good promise to us, who are the remnant, doing our best to follow Yahuwah with all our hearts, embracing the Torah and all of him, and not just the little parts that we think are comfortable. Now, this particular scripture that I just read reminds me of a dream that I had, actually more than one, where, I'm sorry, I got a little messed up there. I had a dream where I was kind of set back, almost like I was witnessing it and not really there. But I saw just many people walking beside a new shoreline. The shoreline in the United States was not the same as it is right now, but something had happened and it had changed drastically. And there were many people walking along this shoreline, mostly single file or by two by two. Their heads were burnt, and they looked like they were in shock, and nobody was speaking. And that does really, this scripture right here does remind me of it, where he says he will bring us from the north country and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child. A great company shall return there. They shall come with weeping. These people were definitely, if they were doing anything, they were weeping. And with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. So, for I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. So that's kind of what I saw. I saw a group of people, a large group of people walking pretty much single file next to a river of water, to a shoreline. But in the dream, I had a knowing that that was not just a lake. It was like a new shoreline. This part right here where he says, Ephraim is my firstborn, is very interesting, because we know that Ephraim was one of Joseph's children, and Joseph was definitely not the firstborn. No, he might have been the most greatly loved, but he was not the firstborn. Therefore, it reminds me of Tim Foster, 405, and others who have talked about the United States being Ephraim. I do know that there's a large portion of people that, like myself, are returning to the ancient ways, returning to Torah and trying to live according to Torah. Torah can mean instructions, it can mean law. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what he means by the firstborn, because the church to me seems dead. I've watched it go from 80% capacity down to maybe 20. And I think all of that is greatly due to the whole seeker-friendly mentality. We needed laser tag and light shows and fancy stages and big productions and lots of programs for people, but we didn't teach them the entire word of Yahweh. We have left out so very much, and in doing so we leave out, frankly, the scary parts of Yahweh, which we need to know, because in Proverbs it says that the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of all wisdom. We need to know that he is someone to be feared. We need to know so that we will fear him over man. I love this in verse 11. For Yahuwah hath redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. I am really feeling like and hoping that that means that he is going to rescue us from the governments of this world, and also from the mark of the beast. And Jeremiah, I think I already talked about that. It's hard when you do it in 3 different days to not remember what I've talked about. I'm sorry. Jeremiah 31:12. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Yahweh for wheat, and for wine, and for oil, and for the young of the flock, and of the herd. Their soul shall be a watered garden. I'm sorry. Their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow any more at all. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, both young men and old together. For I will turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them and make them rejoice from their sorrow. And I cannot wait for that. Jeremiah 46:27. But thou, my servant Jacob, fear not, neither be dismayed, Israel. For behold, I have seen thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and be in rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. Whew, doesn't that sound good? Just in case somebody is watching this that didn't watch my first two videos, I recently read through Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, and pulled out things that I thought were very interesting, and also things that pertain to end-time related events. So that's why I'm not going line by line. These are just the scriptures that I highlighted in Jeremiah, and I would encourage you to read through it too. All right, and Jeremiah 48:47. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days. Again, the latter days. See, I'm telling you, this is about the end times. Saith Yahweh, thus far is the judgment of Moab. Jeremiah 49:24. Damascus is waxed feeble, and turneth herself to flee, and fear hath seized on her. Anguish and sorrows have taken her as a woman in travail. This is a picture from Damascus. We know that it was nearly destroyed. I believe it was 2018. Pretty sure it was 2018. And there's not much more than rubble left these days. Jeremiah 50:4-6. In those days and in that time, saith Yahuwah, the children of Israel shall come, they and their children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek Yahuwah their Elohim. They shall ask the way to Zion, with their faces thitherward, saying, Come, and let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. So, right here we see a picture of people asking how to get to Zion. And in Revelations, we see the New Jerusalem come down out of heaven. In other places, it's called Zion. So, I just think it's very interesting that the shepherds have caused them to go astray. In the other two videos that I did on this topic, it talked about the pastors and their role in leading people astray. I think that their role in leading people astray has been to tell us that we don't need the Torah. We're not under the law. And, part of that are the Paul scriptures. But nobody agrees with Paul but Paul. The reason that we think that scripture agrees with it is because there are so many of Paul's books. And again, I remind you that Yeshua said, Woe to you scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites. Woe to the scribes. Why? Because they did something they weren't supposed to do. They either omitted something or added something. And perhaps it was either to Paul's work or all of his work. I know very well that people are gathering back to Israel right now. However, they are not going beside the rivers and weeping together, and they are not asking for the way to Zion. So these are things that have not been fulfilled yet, and things I believe that are part of the end times. These are things we need to know, so that if they happen, we are not caught unaware. So if they do happen in our day and age, which I believe they will in short order, that then we'll know, hey, Deborah said that was in the Bible. I saw that in the Bible. When I looked at her video, I saw that in the Bible. That's right. So we won't be afraid. We might be overwhelmed with the thought of walking to Zion. But if he requires that of us, then we will be able to do it. In Jeremiah 50:43 through 44, the king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. There's that same woman in travail that we've read over and over again in Jeremiah. I'm so sorry. In Jeremiah, and also it's in Revelations chapter 12, and we talked about it, I believe, last video. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan, unto the habitation of the strong. I just watched a program a couple of days ago now, since I wrote this, showing the Jordan River has swollen greatly. When they showed the before and after photos, I was not even able to tell that it was the same place. It didn't look like the same location at all. And I'm not totally shocked, because much of the earth has been experiencing flooding over the last year or two. I know we have over and over again flooded here, but I've seen all kind of floods in the Middle East. And, things on earth are being shaken. Also, just because we can put some kind of name to the things that are going on, like the flooding, just because we can put a name to it like global warming does not mean that it is not the hand of Yahuwah doing it or allowing it. Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Revelation 18:2. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. Again, we see a correlation to Revelation, which we know beyond a shadow of a doubt is the book of the end times. It is just so surprising to me that Jeremiah is a book of prophecy of the end times, of our times. Jeremiah 51:42. The sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. This too sounds a little like what I experienced in that dream where the shoreline was changed. Because of what? A multitude of waves, and Babylon sinking. Now, are we the Babylon? I doubt it, but maybe. But we are definitely part of the Babylonian system. So, I do think it definitely pertains to the United States. So this is another end time prophecy that has not been fulfilled. For, the original Babylon was not covered with waters and did not sink. So we have yet to see this. I know many prophets that are not prophets for money have had dreams about the eastern United States flooding. New York, I've had dreams about New York flooding. I've also had dreams about California flooding. But when I say flooding, I don't mean that they'll flood and then be able to come back again. They will be sunk. So we are waiting for these things to be fulfilled. In the last chapter of this book of Jeremiah, we find that Jerusalem was destroyed in his time, but not all in this scripture has been fulfilled as yet. These are exciting times. These are trying times. If not for Yahweh, I would have drowned in the depth of confusion that is the day we live in. And I'm sure probably a lot of you feel that way too, because anytime you turn on the news media, you're going to be fed a bunch of fear and confusion because every single day they're changing their stories towards this sickness. And that being said, I would encourage you to go outside when it's warm. It would be the best thing that you can do, and especially if you are not feeling well and you think you might have this sickness. Because I have heard more than one doctor, and not Fauci. Fauci is evil. But I've heard other doctors say that this particular cold, don't want to use the buzzword, cannot survive 80 degrees or warmer. So when they shut down beaches and lakes and things like that, and don't want us to gather at the beaches, that's crazy. And if they want us to stay in all the time, maybe that's because most people keep their houses at about 72 to 74 degrees, in which case the sickness can live. But if you go outside and work in your garden in the sunlight when it's hot, guess what? It's going to kill that virus. Oh, darn it. I didn't want to say that word. It's going to kill that thing. So do spend some time outdoors if at all possible. And also the sunlight is so good for you. It helps you feel better emotionally, and it makes you more stable emotionally. So get out there and take a look at Yahweh's creation, thank Him for it, and work with it. And I'm really kind of wanting to do a video called "Will Work for Food." Because the amount of work that I've done to put into making food, it's really kind of amazing. It's a lot of hours. And I wonder just how many of us are actually willing to work for food. Until next time, I hope you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.